Hi guys, how are you and welcome to this video. In this video I'm going to talk about the Canon EF-S 18 to 200mm. So this is a lens which is made in plastic. It is not a very solid lens, I guess, compared to some other lens that I had. However, I had it for quite a few years, maybe 2 or 3 years. I never dropped it, so I cannot say that it is a very solid lens. However, for 2 or 3 years I really used it quite a lot, and it still works perfectly. The zoom ring, the focus ring, they work perfectly. They don't have any problems, and it looks like a new lens. So basically, the build quality is very good. However, the material is in plastic, and plastic is not always the best material. But in this case, I guess that if you take care of your lens, it is going to last for a long time. Now, if we look at the versatility of this lens, it is a very good lens. However, there are some downsides, and I'm going to explain them to you. So in this case, basically the only downside of this lens is that it is a f3.5 to 5.6 lens. So basically the aperture is not a constant aperture, so when you're gonna zoom it's gonna lose some natural light, and at the same time it is not a very fast lens, so it won't allow a lot of light into your camera. So I had some problems with it. Basically, one time I had to shoot an event, and well, I was using other lenses, but at one point I really needed to use a lens that was able to really zoom far away to take the pictures. I had to crank the ISO very high, because if I didn't crank the ISO very high, we wouldn't see anything. The problem here is that it depends on your camera, but for my camera it was a Canon 60D, and when you crank the ISO very high, there was a lot of grain in the pictures. So basically the pictures were not very nice because they had a lot of grain, a lot of noise into them. So if you're planning to, I don't know, shoot some events or shoot weddings, basically if you plan to shoot with your camera and this lens at 200mm when there's not a lot of light in the place you are in, I won't recommend it for you. Even inside, maybe with I don't know, the let's say if we talk about the Sony A7S, this camera can crank the ISO very high and you can get an excellent picture quality. But with some aps-c and not like very professional cameras or old cameras, it is not an option for you to crank the ISO very high, because first, when you use it at 200mm, you're gonna need to have a pretty fast shutter speed, because if you don't have a fast shutter speed, the picture is gonna be blurry. And the only option for you is gonna be to crank the ISO. And if your camera is not good to crank the ISO, well, basically your picture will look very bad. So the first thing for you is that if you're planning to take pictures in places that don't have a lot of light, this is not the lens for you. But there's a good side to it. So basically, if there's a lot of light and you zoom all the way in, you won't have any problems and you will be able to take amazing pictures. So I got some pretty amazing pictures that I was amazed by this lens. So I'm gonna put them on the screen, you will be able to look at them. So to have a crazy picture that you will love and that the background is gonna be blurry, maybe you already know this trick. If you don't know, you will learn something. So you put your lens at the max zoom. So for this one's gonna be 200mm. And you're gonna put the object as close as you can to the lens. Remember that you have to have a lot of light, so the picture is gonna be very great because you won't have to crank the ISO up. So for my pictures that look very amazing, I had like ISO 100 and there was a lot of light outside. I had 200mm, and I took a picture of a leaf. It was just as close as I could focus, autofocus to the leaf. I put the lens and I took the picture, and the background was very far away, so the background is completely blurry and it's just an amazing picture. I also used this lens to shoot like sort of documentary, because at the time I didn't have money to buy better lenses. However, this lens can do the job for pretty much anything. So I guess the downside, the only problems with this lens, I will say build quality. It is not the best build quality, however it is fine. You won't have any problem with it if you take care of it. The major problem it is the f3.5 to 5.6. So when you zoom, it is going to lose some light. Then after that, another problem is that f3.5 to 5.6, f3.5 is not a very big aperture, so it won't allow a lot of natural light to enter the lens, and f5.6 is even worse. And another thing with the lens is that if you really want to have a smooth focus, it is smooth, the mechanism is very smooth. However, if you're shooting down and you start to do it, at one point it's gonna fall down with its own weight, as you can see. So I'm gonna just move it a little bit, it falls down. So this is another problem that I guess was not a big problem for me, but I had to mention it because maybe some persons don't like this. And for the focus ring, as you can see, I cannot move it a lot. It's just from here to here. It is very smooth, very easy to move. I guess it is okay. It is not the best one. I had the Sigma 18 to 35, and that is what I call a very great focus ring, because you turned it and it didn't stop. Like when it was already focused at the maximum that you could go, it still went. You just like felt it that it was a little bit harder to make it turn. But this one, you make it turn and it stops completely. It is not the best focus ring I ever had. However, it is not bad at all, and I guess that if it's a kit lens, it is pretty good. The lens also has an image stabilizer. The image stabilizer, it is not the best image stabilizer on the market. However, it is kind of good at 200 millimeters if you're filming and you are on the tripod. I guess it can be very interesting to have the image stabilizer on, because with the wind, maybe the camera will shake a little bit, and that will really get rid of the shakiness, the image stabilizer option on the lens. So it is not the best image stabilizer. However, it really makes a bit of difference when you use it. And it also has a lock here, which allows the lens to stay like this when you try to zoom. If I have the money right now and I could buy a lens, this lens won't be the lens that I will be choosing for me. I prefer some other lenses such as the 70 to 200 millimeters or the 24 to 70 millimeters that have a constant aperture. They are lenses that will allow you to get a lot more light. The aperture is constant. So basically when you're shooting an event, it is great. This downside of these lenses that are very good is that they are very heavy. The upside of this lens, like the good thing about this lens, is that you have 18 to 200 millimeters, but it is not very heavy. So if you're going to travel and you're a person that always like to shoot when there's a lot of sun, maybe this can be a very nice lens for you, because it doesn't weigh a lot, and for you to carry, I don't know, like a 24 to 70 and a 70 to 200 millimeters lens on your travels, this is gonna be very, very heavy for you. But with this lens, you have all the range. So if you're traveling and you're a photographer that loves to take pictures only when there's a lot of light, maybe this lens is good for you. If you don't care too much about bokeh, this lens may be good for you. If you want a lens that is kind of light and that has the whole zooming range, this lens is kind of good for you. So this lens is very versatile. You have the whole zooming range. You can get some pretty amazing pictures when there's a lot of light, and it doesn't weigh a lot. So this is what I really like about this lens, and the fact that you won't have any problem in any situation because you have the whole zooming range. However, you don't have the big aperture, so you won't have the crazy bokeh in your pictures. This is a downside. If you zoom all the way in, you take the picture close to your object, well, you're gonna have a lot of bokeh. So basically, I'm saying that if you're really invested into photography and you want the best picture quality available ever, this lens, you shouldn't buy it. You should really think about other lenses such as 24 to 70, 70 to 200, and also look into other lenses such as the 35 mil, the 50 millimeters, the 85 millimeters. These are freaking great lenses. However, the downside to them is that they don't have the whole range. This lens is very useful. I guess it's a lens for photographers that are starting into photography and videography. It is a good, kind of very good lens for versatility if you're starting. However, when you become more serious about photography, don't think about using this lens for weddings, events, and anything that has like a professional outcome, because maybe this will give you some pretty bad pictures if your camera is not able to take high ISOs. However, if you just take videography and photography casually, you just do it because you like to take pictures and it is not a big deal for you to have the absolute best picture quality. You want one lens that's gonna do everything you want. This might be a very good lens for you, but if you take photography extremely seriously, this is not the lens that you want to buy. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you a better idea about the Canon EF-S 18 to 200mm lens. I hope I'll see you in the next video and that you're gonna subscribe. Bye bye and take care.